I'm just trying to learn. I'm doing a little bit of meta stuff for a playlist, a little bit of meta stuff for the song itself. It's just like $5 a day on each.
You'd be surprised though, $5 a day. We made that rock for a while. Like we rode that lane for a while. It does actually have an impact. Are you running that directly from Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Manager, Meta?
Yeah, I did some hyped stuff, and then like
Cool.
hyped went crazy, and I saw better results just doing it on my own because the interest groups
Yeah.
like off hyped it wouldn't do the right interest groups, and I can just put like just Spotify and then just let it
Mhm.
run. Now that I become a level 3 on here, and I went through y'all's the
Of course.
course, the Spotify course, I realized that well, I've been doing this wrong.
How so? Break it down.
Yeah.
Well, my style of music is kind of more like Mercy Me, where I kind of do like a little bit of worship and also a
Okay.
mix, or more like a Shane and Shame, where I'll do like a kind of a more popish song with a little bit of groove to it, and then I go back full hardcore worship, and I got to pick a lane.
Bingo. We're actually playing around with the idea of putting together some courses and stuff around this, just on how we do ours too. But I love hearing that you're doing that. But yes, especially from a playlist growth standpoint, I'll tell you what, if you can get your entire catalog to be on every single playlist that you're growing, it's a beautiful thing because the chances of all that streaming data coming back to your profile consistently is vastly more probable, more likely. The good news is I don't think you would be terribly far off, necessarily Christian pop to worship CCM type thing. Like it could be worse because at least you're still in the Christian realm. So like that's pivotal. Like you can pivot that strategy. You can salvage that. But when you
Mhm.
start doing like mainstream pop and then worship and then I want to do a country song and then worship, that's where it gets tricky. But you are correct. If I were you, I would lock in even more on your niche. When Forrest Frank drops a song, you know exactly what you're getting every time. You'll notice that with a lot of these bigger artists. Like if you think elevation worship and there's a release coming up, like the vibe of the song right out of the gate. So if you like their past stuff, you're gonna like their future stuff. It's pretty critical in the earlier stages of artistry to lock in on that when you don't have as many fans, when you need some core fans that like everything that you release so that they can, support everything you release. One question for you here is, have you considered doing any covers? So if you're going
Mhm.
to use DistroKid, you can go through them, select the cover license. You will just end up paying, I believe it's like 10 or $12 every year on a subscription.
Yearly.
So every cover that you release through them, add another 10 to $12 every year. They make it very simple. I love that, but there is this accruing expense that you kind of have to think
Mhm.
about. There was a time where we put out so many cover albums that we had to stop and realize we're like, are we paying like $1,200 a year in cover licenses right now? We're like, I
Mm.
think we
Jeez.
are. So we needed to then look for alternatives. And that's where if you have a different distributor that maybe won't do the cover license built in, then you can go to Easy Song license, which is in that course. Easy Song, buy the one-time license through them, and then you basically get the proof of licensing, show it to your distributor, and they let you release it. And that's just a one-time expense. That's what we do now.
We've been leveling up as we go. So we started with DistroKid. We've got some releases on there.
Yeah.
And then we moved to a company called Two Lost, and they
A
have
year,
the
year and a
bulk
half.
of our catalog right now. And then recently, we just signed with a company called STEM. So we're kind of like leveling up. What that means is that you get a better deal with pitching, you get more attention. And so, with that level of attention, they are invite only and they have a core group of artists. It's kind of similar to what Eleni was saying. They have like Wings as the artists group, and then they have the Axis, which is like their DistroKid model version where you pay a subscription or something.
For most artists getting started, I wouldn't recommend going and trying to get a deal with a distributor right away, mostly because you don't usually have enough leverage built up that there's really any extra value that they can provide you at that level. So if I were you, where you guys are at, I would keep grinding it out with DistroKid and ride that until either one, you you do what we did and have so many cover projects where we're like, oh, this I don't think this is making sense anymore, right? That could be one reason to transition. The other is just ride that ride that lane until your numbers are so big that maybe you start getting more opportunities and getting more offers. If you go to a distributor not having enough leverage on either social media and or streaming platforms like monthly listeners, they can't really go to these editorials, and they just don't have much leverage to get you on them because all of these record labels are fighting for a certain amount of positions on these editorial spots, and it's kind of coming down to like every label gets a few spots. So then, or a distributor gets a few spots, and then they need to prioritize their best artists, highest leveraged artists for those spots, right? So that's why a lot of younger artists can get overlooked in the distribution editorial pitching game. So yeah, for now, I would keep playing what you're playing, and then once if and when something happens, like for our Anthem Worship brand and all this stuff that we've been doing, where these brands take off, well, now we can go to STEM, um, and we can have a conversation with them. And they might only be invite only, and they're very picky. It turns out they do Bethel music as well, and they do like a handful of these larger groups. And our catalog, our numbers, our brands were big enough that we could leverage that to get some meetings, discuss some options. They made us a deal that made a lot of sense for us. We took it. That's kind of the game. But to get there, man, I probably Joey, how many distributors was I talking to when we were probably like
I
50.
mean, you probably emailed like 20 different ones.
They're like
Yeah.
any and all that existed online. I was hitting up and scheduling meetings, and it's interesting learning all the different games that all these distributors play.
These companies where they take a percentage, like STEM, is like once you can get your catalog generating a certain amount of income, you can then leverage that and get a lower percentage if you upgrade to a higher priority, a more hands-on type of distributor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's handy.
And
Cool.
I would
I've
add,
got-
I would add on to that until you hit a certain level, guys, I wouldn't be focused on necessarily looking for a distributor that's going to take a percentage. Just again, because there's not much to work with, right? They might be great people, but there won't be as much excitement as opposed to a larger artist that they would be working with. They'll prioritize that because those splits will be worth more for their time.
After having spent time going through multiple distributors over the last like 12 years of doing music, that at the end of the day, like you just want to be able to build something on your own that distribution companies will look at you and say, like, we want to work with that person. You don't want to be like knocking their door down. You want them to come to you.
Exactly.
And then from there, you have a lot more negotiation power, and you just like the ball is in your court, and you get to have like just a lot more say in money that you are just really just giving away to people. If you're starting out looking for distributors and like you're just wanting to give away 30% of money that you don't have, it's not worth it. So try to just build something that people will come knocking down your door for.
Say you release a song and then you start going viral on social media. Well, that arguably will be more firepower behind you than any distributor.